Chapter 1, A Brief History of Psychopathology. 1.0 Introduction. Throughout history, human civilizations have held different views about what constitutes mental disorders. Explanations for abnormal behavior have ranged from supernatural causes to physiological dysfunctions. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, psychological explanations began gaining prominence. 1.1 Objectives. After reading this unit, you will be able to explain supernatural beliefs regarding causes and treatment of psychopathology. Describe the biological approach to psychopathology. Explain the psychoanalytic theory of psychopathology. Present an account of the humanistic approach to psychopathology. Understand the relevance of the behavioristic approach in explaining psychopathology. Point 2. The ancient supernatural beliefs. Ancient civilizations often attributed mental disorders to supernatural causes, such as evil spirits, demons, or celestial bodies. 1.2.1 Witchcraft and Demonology. Individuals with mental disorders were believed to be possessed by evil spirits. Treatments included punishments and rituals like trepanning, boring a hole in the skull. 1.2 Moon and Stars. It was believed that the movements of the moon and stars affected human behavior, reflected in terms like lunatic. 1.3 Mass hysteria. Mass hysteria involves the spread of emotional states such as fear or excitement across a community. 1.3 Biological models. With advances in biological sciences, explanations for mental disorders shifted towards physical and biochemical causes. 1.3.1 Early Greek contributions. Hippocrates and Galen. Hippocrates suggested that mental disorders had natural causes related to body fluid imbalances. Galen expanded on this by associating fluids with environmental qualities like heat and cold. 1.3.2 19th century, J.P. Gray and E. Kraepelin. J.P. Gray emphasized physical causes and treatments, while E. Kraepelin focused on classifying psychological disorders based on symptoms and progression. 1.3.3 20th century, insulin shock therapy and electroconvulsive therapy. Insulin shock therapy and electroconvulsive therapy were used to treat severe mental disorders but were controversial due to their side effects. 1.4 Psychological approaches. Psychological approaches emphasize emotional, social, and cultural factors in understanding and treating mental disorders. 1.4.1 Early psychological approaches. The mental hygiene movement advocated humane treatment of patients, with pioneers like P. Pennell and Dorothea Dix leading reforms. 1.4.2 Psychoanalytic approach. Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis focused on unconscious processes and childhood experiences. Key concepts include mental structures, id, ego, and superego. Levels of consciousness, conscious, preconscious, and unconscious. Stages of psychosexual development, oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. Anxiety and defense mechanisms, psychoanalytic therapy. SOSC 1.3 Humanistic approach. Humanistic theories emphasize free will, personal growth, and self-actualization. Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow were key figures, promoting concepts like self-concept and congruence. FOSS 4.4 Behavioral approach. Behaviorism, led by Ivan Pavlov and John B. Watson, focuses on learned behaviors. Key concepts include classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and social cognitive theory. 1.5 Let us sum up. The chapter summarizes various historical perspectives on psychopathology, from supernatural beliefs to modern psychological and biological approaches. Main points of Chapter 1. A brief history of psychopathology. 1. Introduction. Historical views on mental disorders have evolved from supernatural beliefs to physiological and psychological explanations. Ancient beliefs attributed mental disorders to supernatural powers or demons, while later explanations focused on physiological dysfunctions and biochemical imbalances. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw the rise of psychological explanations for mental disorders. 1.1 Objectives. Understand supernatural beliefs about psychopathology. Learn about the biological approach to psychopathology. Grasp the psychoanalytic theory of psychopathology. Know the humanistic approach to psychopathology. Comprehend the behavioristic approach to explaining psychopathology. 1.2 The ancient supernatural beliefs. Ancient civilizations attributed abnormal behavior to supernatural causes such as evil spirits, demons, and celestial bodies. Witchcraft and demonology. belief that mental disorders were caused by evil spirits, leading to treatments like punishments and rituals such as trepanning. Moon and stars, belief that celestial movements influenced behavior, with terms like lunatic derived from these beliefs. Mass hysteria, emotional states spreading through communities, causing widespread panic. 1.3 Biological models. Biological explanations for mental disorders emerged with advances in biological sciences. Early Greek contributions. Hippocrates and Galen attributed mental disorders to imbalances in body fluids, with treatments aimed at restoring balance. 19th century, J.P. Gray emphasized physical causes and treatments, while E. Kraepelin focused on classifying psychological disorders based on symptoms and progression. 20th century, insulin shock therapy and electroconvulsive therapy were used to treat severe mental disorders, though they were controversial. SOS.1 1.4 Psychological approaches. Psychological approaches emphasize emotional, social, and cultural factors in understanding and treating mental disorders. Early psychological approaches. The mental hygiene movement advocated humane treatment of patients, led by figures like P. Pinnell and Dorothea Dix. Psychoanalytic approach. Sigmund Freud's theories focused on unconscious processes and childhood experiences, introducing concepts like the id, ego, and superego, psychosexual stages, anxiety, defense mechanisms, and psychoanalytic therapy. Humanistic approach emphasized free will, personal growth, and self-actualization, with key figures like Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow promoting concepts such as self-concept and congruence. Behavioral approach focused on learned behaviors, with key concepts from Ivan Pavlov and John B. Watson, including classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and social cognitive theory. 1.5. Let us sum up. This section summarizes the chapter, highlighting the transition from supernatural to biological and psychological explanations for psychopathology.